Well, well, well. Here we are for another Leaf Talk. Today's isn't as pleasant as the last one. This one here is not quite as pleasant. Let's start with Tessier. He scores the winner in the shootout on a shot that is predictable for him. It's the shot that he takes all the time. I mean, the scouts failed the Leafs this time. It failed the goaltender.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's not like there's not a lot of game footage out there for it. It is repeatable. He does it all the time. Caulfield also helped when scoring in the shootout. Also had a goal in regulation, and Jacob Dobish made 22 saves through regulation and overtime. The good news is Scott Laughton seems to be on fire. He had another goal. Dennis Hildeby stopped 33 shots. They unfortunately saw their 3-game win streak snapped, but this is, kind of necessary for them at this point because Wool's out with another injury. Stolarz is on injured reserve. It's one of those hard things where Wool will be out a week, ... hopefully, according to Craig Berube, which means anywhere between now and the end of the Olympics is when he'll be coming back. Lane Hudson, however, has himself at 55 assists so far in 2025 and has him too shy of tying Guy Lapointe and PK Subban's record for the second most in a calendar year by a Montreal defenseman. JC Tremblay tops the list with 57 assists from 1971. So some things are looking good. Some things are looking not so good. One thing that we do know for certain is that the Leafs are still hurting.
They are. They are definitely hurting. We can talk about the power play, and nothing says a lack of talent more than a power play that's ineffective.
Wow. Yeah.
Not Noel, Aaron. That's where the talent. That's where the talent actually exposes itself, and the Leafs are exposed as not very talented anymore. And it isn't just. Again, this thing about Marner, it isn't Marner. It's Matthews is not a superstar. Matthews is an ordinary center in the National Hockey League who, in a good year, will score 35 to 40 goals a season. That's who he is. That's as good as it gets. But he's not a $13 million guy, and they don't have another $13 million guy on that team. They've got Nylander, and that's it. And he's hot and cold. So if there's talent that can't be exposed, if they can't control the puck and find opportunities to score, it's going to be curtains for this team because without a power play, they don't have the 5-on-5 skill that they've had before.
Well, it is true. They went 0 for 3 against the Habs on Saturday, which is certainly an issue. The power play's got to come through. I know that they've tried 5 forwards. After that arrangement ended up giving up shorthanded goals. They switched back to having OEL on the point. They also kept rookie forward Easton Cowan on the PP1, replacing Matty Nyes. Now, despite the fact that Cowan has awesome playmaking abilities in front and potential contributions, their power play efficiency has fallen to 14.1%. This puts them 30th out of the 32 NHL teams. It looks like they're not 100% sure what they're doing out there. They feel like they're a little too tentative, when it comes to this sort of thing. The fact that they've been having absolutely horrific second periods doesn't seem to help. And compounding that with giving them a penalty, a power play opportunity just seems unfair at this point. I'm wondering if maybe the NHL shouldn't adopt a similar thing to the CFO where you can decline penalties if you'd like, because oh my God, the power play isn't helping.
Aaron, the power play, when I say it requires talent, I mean it requires talent on the power play, a talent for having a power play. Like you need a trigger man, you need a guy that can help orchestrate, wherever. And that guy that orchestrates from the back end has to be an inventive kind of player with a good shot, a really good shot. The Leafs don't have a defenseman. They don't have a star defenseman. They just don't. OEL is the closest they have to a star defenseman right now. right now when we look at the team, because we're not looking at the power play from last year. We're looking at the power play from this year. And the power play from this year needs to have a defenseman back there. The Leafs have missed out on the opportunity for years now. I was promoting the idea of getting a defenseman, a real good puck, a real good player for Marner. That would have made a difference with the Leafs, with the playoffs, everything. They need a defenseman that can stir the drink, or you got to put 5 forwards out there. But they don't have 5 inventive forwards. They might have 3. They might have 3. I put our friend Tavares. He's sort of 1 foot in greatness, 1 foot in workhorse, right? And
Yeah.
that's that's great. That's great for its purpose. But for the power play, he's good in that that bumper position. Because he's good at getting shots off that end up at the front of the net. But that's where the defenseman comes in, where somebody at the point gets a shot on goal, where the Leaf players can get that rebound. And they're not getting that rebound. They're not getting those easy goals. The goal that Montreal led the game in against Toronto, that was one of those easy goals I'm talking about. A shot across the crease into the skates of one of their guys. He knocks it into the empty net. Leafs aren't getting those goals. They're just not, because the puck's not getting to the front of the net enough. And the power play is the best place for that to happen.
Yeah, and the issue that we run into is if you do go with 5 forwards, half of them are going to be defensive liabilities.
And then you end up with accelerated opportunities for good, goals, shorthanded goals, and they don't want that. Let's go to the PWHL and let's talk about Des Baines and the 21 saves she had to help Montreal Victoire hold off Toronto.
So Anne-Renee Desbiens had 21 saves. They beat the Toronto Scepters 3-1 on Sunday. Katie Tabin, Haley Skamura, and Laura Stacey scored for the Victoire, who won their second straight game. Reagan Kirk made 27 saves for Toronto, and Emma Gentry scored her first career PWHL goal in the loss. Tapin opened the scoring at 8:38 of the first with a shot from the point. Montreal had a 12-3 shot advantage in the first period. They appeared to double their lead with under 8 minutes remaining in the first when Marie-Philippe Poulin redirected a pass into the net, but it was ruled to be a kick and was disallowed after review. So the Victoire turned around and made it 2-0 at the early in the second with Skamura. Her centering pass hit Toronto defender Callie Flanagan and went past Kirk. Toronto got on the board 1:36 into the third when Gentry fired a shot over Desbiens' shoulder. But Stacey responded a few minutes later to restore Montreal's 2-goal lead, and that was all she wrote. The next time these two are going to face each other will be December 17th in Halifax as part of the PWHL's Takeover Tour, and again on December 27th at the Bell Center in Montreal.
Absolutely. And the Raptors, R.J. Barrett, another week. They've looked not as good without him.
Well, it's true. They've appeared mostly mortal at this point. Unfortunately, the cavalry isn't about to arrive for Toronto in the form of R.J. Barrett. He's been their leading scorer each of the previous 2 seasons, but will miss at least another week due to his right knee sprain. Now, while Barrett does continue to progress, he has been treated with a platelet-rich plasma injection, and his condition will be updated in a week. He's going to miss Tuesday's NBA Cup quarterfinal game against the New York Knicks, as well as the rest of the potential semifinal and championship games, both to be played in Las Vegas this weekend. Beyond that, there are going to be other contests. Now, Barrett hurt himself after landing on a non-contact play and has missed the past 8 games. 5 of them have been losses for Toronto, which shows you just how much they need him. In that time, Toronto's gone from having one of the most efficient offenses in the NBA to dead last in most offensive categories. Right. So it's a smidge of a loss.
Scoring leader gone. Team's going to score less, and less scoring is a big difference between winning and losing. Let's go to the Major League Baseball, and the Jays are talking trade with a pretty valuable infielder. Him, of course, with the Diamondbacks. How's that going there?
So it's interesting because I think all of this news coming out could potentially be negatively impacting negotiations that are currently ongoing with Bo Bichette. Because they're interested in Ketel Marte. He's currently on a $105 million deal. The Blue Jays are amongst a few MLB teams that are currently showing interest. The fact that they're actively looking for players in the infield and potentially at positions that Bo can play is one of those things that may lead others to believe, including Bo's own team, that it may not be in their best interest to sign with Toronto. Marte hit 283 with 28 home runs and 136 hits with 87 runs scored, 28 doubles, 72 ribbies, 83 strikeouts, and an 893 OPS in 126 games played. So he certainly would be giving Toronto more games than Bo did. This is one of those things that they have to very, very carefully consider, just mainly because of how it could upset the apple cart as it currently stands.
Let's go CFL and the Red Blacks. They extend their linebacker, Louis Cormier.
Yeah, so this is good news for Lucas. He was scheduled to become a free agent in February. The 24-year-old has played 24 games over his 3 seasons in the CFL, all with the Red Blacks. He's totaled 52 tackles with 35 defensive tackles, 1 quarterback sack, and 1 interception. Originally from Mount A, he actually led all Red Blacks nationals in total tackles, defensive tackles, and tackles for loss in 2025, also adding a sack and an interception. So glad to see that he'll be back there for them, helping firm things up. Be interesting to see how he fits in with the new coach's offensive schemes as well.
Alouettes have a new American defensive back.
Yeah, they've announced Faion Hicks is going to be signed through 2027. Hicks was selected by the Denver Broncos in the 7th round of the 2022 NFL draft. In 2 games with them, he made 1 tackle and assisted on 1. As it currently stands, he was also part of New Orleans, Cleveland, and Seattle organizations in the NFL, and played with the Baltimore Stallions in the UFL. It'll be interesting to see where he fits in with the defensive scheme with the Owls.
It's official. Jim Barker rejoins the Argos.
Yeah, I know. I know that you had news of this a couple of days ago. Just waiting on the big confirmation here. But Yvette Barker is back for his 4th stint with the Double Blue. He's going to be bringing over 40 years of professional football experience to the club. He most recently spent 2022 with the team as a senior advisor and helped the club to their 19th Grey Cup. Him coming in right before the 2026 season bodes well for the Argonauts to get another championship in 2027, in keeping with their every 5 years schema. So it'll be interesting. He has served as a CFL analyst on TSN in the past. Spent 2021 with them as well. It'll be interesting to see if he brings anything new or if it's some of the same old, same old.
Well, the management team of the coach and 2 assistant general managers bring up 45 years of experience on average experience. Well, let's hope this is a good move. I mean, it's counterintuitive because the league has gotten younger and younger in that department, in GMs and in coaches and such. So they're going against the grain. And the last time a Toronto team went against the grain, we ended up with the core 4. This could be the core 3 or a little bit long in the tooth, but we'll see. Hey, give them a chance. It's just different. That's all. It's just totally different than what we're used to. Let's go to the National Hockey League and our Canadian teams in the National Hockey League. We'll begin with the Habs, who lost to Braden Shen and the Blues.
Yeah, and it was most definitely a loss to Braden Shen primarily. He had 2 goals and an assist. This is helping the Blues beat the Canadians 4-3 on Sunday to complete a 3-game road trip with their 2nd victory in 2 nights. Prior to that, they had another game against Ottawa. We'll get to that in a second. Dylan Holloway scored and assisted on both of Braden Shen's goals. Pavel Buchnevich also scored, and Jordan Binnington made 23 saves, making another strong case for him to be one of the starters for the Canadian Olympic team. Cole Caulfield scored his 16th goal of the season for Montreal to extend his point streak now to 11 games. And Lane Hudson and Noah Dobson also scored, and Jacob Dobish stopped 14 shots. Now, Dobish was pressed into action after playing Saturday. Montembeault, the expected starter, was ruled out 2 hours before the game because of illness. Kaapo Kähkönen was called up from Laval of the AHL to back up Dobish.
Wow. And St. Louis continued their trip. Recently, they beat Toronto, so they just beat Montreal, and then they went on to the home of the Senators to beat the Senators as well.
Yeah, Hofer made 41 saves. They managed to hold off a late rally from the Sens to take a 2-1 win on Saturday. Jake Neighbors scored twice for the Blues, who are now 10, 12, and 7. including the eventual game winner just 12 seconds into the third period when he tipped it Pavel Buchnevich past Linus Ullmark. Now, Linus made 18 saves in the loss. The Senators at 13-11-4 sold Hofer on their 7th power play of the game. Imagine that. Imagine getting 7 power plays. Unbelievable. Fabian Zetterlund managed to jam a loose puck and halve the deficit with 4:21 remaining. While they were pressing for the equalizer, Ullmark was skidding towards the bench, but had to make a diving save on a Robert Thomas shot. It was a fantastic save. Unfortunately, didn't manage to help the cause in the end. The St. Louis Blues were actually shorthanded for most of the first period and got outshot 15-2, but managed to hold off the Senators thanks to some solid play by Hofer, including a stellar play on David Perron late in the period. So, and again, there's another example of power plays not coming through.
Well, there you go. I mean, you could say the 3 Canadian teams that played St. Louis were 0 for 3.
Yep.
0 for 3.
Yeah, but not 0 for. Well, technically speaking, they all were 0 for.
They were 0 for 3. All right. The Jets, that's a football thing, folks. Never mind. Jets and Oilers. My God, I watched the beginning of this game, Aaron. It was pathetic. Oh, it was so. Oh my God, Winnipeg fans, I can't believe how unhappy they must have been watching that game.
Yeah, 4-0 after the first period, though.
Yikes!
Oh, just Nuge, Matt Savoie, Curtis Lazar, and David Tomaszek scored for the Oilers. Draisaitl and Evan Bouchard each had a goal and an assist. They were up 4-0 after the first period. Gabe Velarde and Cole Koepke replied for the Jets, but their Jets unfortunately have lost 7 of their last 9 games. Scheifele managed to extend his point streak to 7 games with an assist after having a goal called back on a flagrant offside. Paul Connor's goal-scoring streak, unfortunately, was halted at 4 games, but he has had points in 5 straight. Savoie, 21-year-old rookie for the Oilers, scored his 3rd goal in his last 2 games and has 6 so far this season. In Edmonton's 9-4 win over Seattle last Thursday, Savoie became the 3rd youngest player in Oilers history to score both a shorthanded and a power play goal in the same game, putting himself behind Glenn Anderson and Paul Coffey. Now, Edmonton led 3-0 by 7:24 of the first period. That's when Savoie got his 4th. He had an easy tap in for his 6th. The Oilers scored on 3 of their first 4 shots, which is absolutely stunning.
And the concern that Winnipeg has.
It's definitely goaltending at this point. Ooh.
Speaking of goaltending, the Flames, Wolf has had a pretty tough season thus far, but 28 saves and another shutout to add in his career helped the Flames win.
Yeah. Now, Wolf has stopped 54 of 55 shots in 2 straight starts after backup Devin Cooley started 3 games in a row because he was not playing as well. He turned in another sterling performance after 26 saves in Thursday's 4-1 win over the Minnesota Wild. Now, the Flames opened the scoring just 16 seconds into the game when Kadri was stopped on a wraparound, but Sharangovich chipped the rebound off the goalpost and over the line. Late in the first period, Utah strung together consecutive dangerous chances, but Wolf kicked out a pad to deny Jack McBain and also made a pad stop on a shot from J.J. Peterka. Connor Zary sealed the win with an empty netter with 2:14 remaining in the third. Logan Cooley was a late scratch. Utah's leading goal scorer was shaken up on Friday's 4-1 win in Vancouver when he collided with Kevin Lankinen. So the Mammoth are going on to host Los Angeles on Monday, and the Flames are going to host Buffalo.
All right. Canucks have had a tough stretch, but the weekend wasn't a total loss. They won as well as lost.
Yeah, so they split. Sergachev and Stenlund, unfortunately, had the upper hand in handing the Canucks their 4th straight loss. They managed to lose 4-1. So that's Sergachev, Stenlund, Schmaltz, and John Marino all scored. And Karl Vejmelka made 31 saves for the Mammoth. Arshdeep Bains scored, and Kevin Lankinen had 14 saves for the Canucks, who are winless in 4. Well, at that point, were winless in 4 and had 1 win in their past 8 at 1-6-1. The good news is the very next night, Atu Ratti scored twice for Vancouver, as they managed to get a 4-2 win over the Minnesota Wild. Nikita Tolopilo had 27 saves to improve his record to 2-1-0. Matt Boldy and Matt Zuccarello scored for the Wild. Jesper Wallstedt stopped 16 shots in his first regulation loss this season. He's 8-1-2.
Perfect.
Yeah. Can't ask for better.
Well, we've got ourselves an interesting situation in Toronto. We've got the Olympics coming up. And who do you think? I'm curious as to who they're going to provide as a goaltender, who Canada is going to have as a goaltender. I guess Binnington's their best bet. They have a couple of up-and-comers. Montembeault isn't playing like a guy that you want to represent Canada in the Olympics. You've got an arena that apparently is shorter than it's supposed to be. There's concerns so much so that the National Hockey League will not allow their players to play on that ice unless they feel it's 100% safe. I don't know if it's 3 feet shorter, if that, contributes to a lack of safety. It seems like that's a little, I don't know, overkill maybe.
It seems honestly like a trumped up reason to try to withhold NHL players from a best on best global tournament like this. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm just a hack, I've only played for 45 years. I know very little about the sport, but I don't think arena size really makes that much of a difference.
Well, bigger is better, but the size difference here is so little. It's negligible. Really,
it's less than a meter. It's half of a Zach Hyman. I think you'll be fine.
In other words, instead of 200 feet, 197.
Yep.
So,
and instead of 80 feet wide, it's 83 and a half feet wide.
1.5% smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that math. That one's easy because 200 divided by 2 is 100. 3 feet divided by 2 is 1.5 feet. So it's 1.5% smaller.
Yeah.
I'm so proud. My math teacher would be so proud of me being able to do something like that. And then we've got the situation where Donald Trump says, maybe we should call it football. And then I heard some reporters were saying he should be impeached just for that, calling soccer football. That he was basically throwing a backhanded insult to the game of U.S. football as being football. And a couple of reporters said he should be impeached just for that.
I mean, of all the things to impeach him for, that would be the least ludicrous.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Aaron, this was fun. See you on Wednesday. Hopefully the Leafs they've got to go on another 3-1 stretch. In other words, they have to win 3 and lose 1 in overtime again. And if they can do that, they will be in a position to be in the driver's seat to make the playoffs. Right now, they're not in the driver's seat. They're in the back seat because they're behind too many teams. But they're only 3 points behind. Last time I looked, anyway, they were only 3 or 4 points behind being in a wild card spot. So that's not a lot. But it's the amount of teams they've got to traverse or go over.
Yeah, it's close enough, but it's still far enough away. So.
All right, buddy. Talk soon.
Yes, sir.
My phone's ringing. Have a great night, buddy.
Later.
Everybody.